Greetings, Salem. My name is Ryan Rieber. I'm the Superintendent of the School District of Salem. As we prepare for the upcoming November election, I'd like to educate you on the two questions that are on the ballot this year from the West Salem School District. Back in August, the West Salem School Board voted unanimously to move forward with two questions on this year's November election ballot. The first question being an operating question, asking permission for the school district to move forward with a $3.5 million recurring operational referendum to consist of maintaining educational programming, facilities, and buses, and paying salary and other operational expenses. The second question that is on the ballot is a capital question. This question is asking permission from general obligation bonds in the amount not to exceed $28 million for the public purpose of paying the cost of a school facility improvement project consisting of construction of a career and technical education addition with a fitness center, construction of a replacement greenhouse and renovations at the high school, the construction of a gymnasium addition and renovations at the elementary school, district-wide capital maintenance, building systems, safety, security, and site improvements, and the acquisition of furnishings, fixtures, and equipment across the district. I would like to take some time here this afternoon to explain to you these further two questions and to help you gain a better understanding of these questions that are on the ballot. First, I'd like to start off with the operating question.
Our public schools are the cornerstone of our community. The education and opportunities we provide for students today shape their futures and ours. Schools, like any organization, need money to operate, but in Wisconsin, funding the needs of our schools has been a growing challenge. State policy limits how much school districts can spend. The vast majority of school funding comes from a combination of state dollars and local property taxes. It's called the revenue limit, and it acts as a cap per student that school districts can spend each year. Even if school costs go above this level, schools can't spend any more than this limit. From 1994 to 2009, these revenue caps were adjusted for inflation, which meant they helped schools keep up with ongoing needs. But since 2010, the resources districts need to survive have fallen farther and farther behind the basic costs to operate our schools. By the end of 2025, the revenue limit will have fallen more than $3,300 per student behind inflation. With a district of 1,000 students, that's a decrease of more than $3 million. What's more, each district has a different revenue cap, and these caps are not tied to the needs of the students or the costs to the schools that serve them. Our job as a school district is to make sure all of our students have access to the exceptional educational opportunities we provide, no matter what their needs when they walk through our doors. But state funding falls short of what it costs to meet the specific needs of many of our students. When that happens, we have to use money from our general fund to cover the difference, which means taking dollars from other important needs. The largest portion of our budget goes towards staffing. Our people are the heart of our schools. Without enough educators who instruct, support, and inspire learning, schools can't provide the lessons, programs, and opportunities our students deserve. Other important budget items include curriculum, technology, transportation, operations, and maintenance. School districts work hard to balance their budgets, yet resources for schools have been shrinking year after year since 2010. With costs growing so much faster than funding, districts are always looking for ways to trim costs and work smarter, like deferring needed school maintenance, cutting programs, reducing staff, and many other strategies. But schools can only cut so much before they start to harm educational opportunities for their students. To maintain class sizes, keep up with rising costs, take care of school buildings, and protect high-quality instruction, many districts have turned to their community to help fill the state-imposed funding gap. Since the arrival of revenue limits, over 80% of school districts have done so by asking local voters to raise their caps through an operating referendum. Most have used the option multiple times. Our children don't have time to wait for state policymakers to fix the school funding system. By putting the needs of our students first, we are investing in their potential and the future of our whole community. Strong schools make strong communities where families want to move and stay. Learn more about school finance in Wisconsin by visiting our websites.
An operational referendum isn't something that is unique to the West Salem community. A little brief piece of history here. The School District of West Salem first went to an operating referendum in November of 2018. In November of 2018, the school board asked for a 4-year non-recurring operational referendum. Non-recurring means that there is an end term to the ask date for which the district would continue to seek funds from taxpayers. That operational referendum in October of 2018 was voted down and it failed. The board then decided to come back to voters again in April of 2019, the following spring, and they decreased the number of years from a 4-year to a 3-year non-recurring operational referendum. That passed, and the district committed to a mill rate at or below $9.55. A mill rate, as you will hear us talk about quite frequently throughout this presentation, is the amount of money that the district can control for what comes from tax dollars. That April of 2019 operational referendum expired at the conclusion of the 21-22 school year, which caused the school board to come back again to the voters in April of 22 and asked for, again, a 3-year non-recurring operational referendum. We are currently in the final year of that operational referendum that was passed in April of 22, which leads us to where we are today. The board has surveyed our community over the last 2 summers, first in the summer of 2023, and then most recently in the spring of 24, to gauge the community's interest in continuing on with further referendum projects, which is how we ended up with these referendums here today. The school board did ask if the community would support a recurring operational referendum. A recurring operational referendum means that there is not an end term date to that referendum. As with our previous 2 referendums, there was a 3-year, they were 3-year non-recurring referendums, meaning that there was an end term where the district would have to come back to ask for continued support from our community. A recurring referendum means that that the school board decided to go forward and ask for us to renew our budget here within the district, renew our resources, and continue forward without a term on the end of this ask. With our most current operational referendum in April of 22, the school board set forth to maintain the school district's fund balance within board policy. The school board's policy on fund balance is between 12 and 17%. As we can see here from the 22-23 school year, and most recently our 23-24 school year, that our school district is within that board policy of 12 to 17%. What we also focus on here with the operational referendum is compensating our staff to maintain high retention rate with the quality staff that we do have. The School District of West Salem takes great pride in the staff that we have here within our district. Most recently, coming into this 24-25 school year, we're running a retention rate of 90% with our staff, with our teaching staff, and an overall staff retention rate of about 87%. We're very proud of our staff here, and we're very proud to keep the quality staff that we have here within our district. Another obligation that we have as a district is our bus fleet. We do own and maintain our own transportation system here within the school district. And having our own transportation system does come with annual costs of the maintenance that we do have for our bus. We want to make sure we maintain our bus fleet and keep a regular schedule to maintain those buses, as well as a schedule to purchase any new buses within our budget. We want to make sure that we keep our beautiful campus that we currently have continuing to be well maintained, and make sure that we're keeping our facilities up to date and not deferring any further maintenance costs, both here on our campus and at the Outdoor Education Center. We want to make sure that we prepare to complete a roofing project in the summer of 2025. If you're a community member here, you remember that part of our promise with this current referendum that we're in, that will expire at the conclusion of this year, that we said that we were going to complete the elementary roof project. If you can recall, last summer, in the summer of 23, we did have some major storms that moved through our area, creating millions of dollars worth of damage across our community, including to our West Salem campus. That roofing project that we were hoping to have completed hasn't been able to be completed yet due to the amount of work that contractors are having with repairing roofs commercially and residentially across the area. We do have that money saved, and that money will be put forth to complete that elementary roof project here in the summer of 2025. And the board wants to make sure they continue to maintain their word in setting a mill rate at or below a certain level. When the West Salem School Board went to the ballot box and proposed the non-recurring operational referendum in April of 22, they set a promise and made a promise to set a mill rate at or below of $9.15. As you can see, that mill rate in 22-23 was $7.73, and currently this past school year it was at $7.60. The mill rate for the 24-25 school year, which again is the amount of money that the district can tax our taxpayers, will be settled at our annual meeting here at the end of October. If we go back to the projections from the April 22 referendum, you can see the amount of funds that were requested, the projected mill rates at those times, and what the mill rate was actually set at. So the valuations of these are based on a property tax increase of approximately 3%. We all know that from looking at our tax bills that those percentages have increased. However, the increase of property taxes have not necessarily come from the school district, but it's come on the valuation of your property. As your property increases with that valuation, that causes that mill rate to decrease, so we can try to keep a steady increase or maintain that level in which the school district is coming to ask for support from our taxpayers. What we like to do, school funding can be a very complicated matter. So I'd like to equate our school funding using a layered cake example. Each layer of a cake, although it may have a different flavor, is very similar to that of school funding, where when we look at the overall school funding formula, it takes into account revenue limits, our current enrollment, the general aid and property taxes, categorical aid, and what we get in open enrollment. Open enrollment is students that reside in a different school district boundary but choose to have their education here in West Salem. Our third Friday count numbers have recently been finalized, and with this current school year, we have about 270 students that open enroll in from outside of the West Salem School District, and we have 170 students that reside within the school district that open enroll out of our district. Some of those open enrollments out that are leaving our district go to online programs or other educational opportunities, not necessarily locally, but throughout the state. As was indicated into the video, the general school district revenues per pupil lag in the inflation costs by more than $3,300 since 2009. Back in 2009, there was a freeze put on school districts. The West Salem School District has been a low revenue spending school district. With us being a low revenue district, back in 2009-2010, the school district's per pupil allocation was set at $10,000, meaning that the school district of West Salem received $10,000 per student that we had here within the district. That did not change until the 23-24 school year. in which that increased from $10,000 to $11,000 through legislation that was signed down in Madison. Had the per pupil allocations kept up with the inflation rate, the school district of West Salem would not have to come to ask the taxpayers for money. As we look at this, there has also been significant increases in the voucher charter payments that you as a taxpayer have had to pay forward going out to private charter schools. Here's some other information and facts for you other than what is on this slide. Back in this year of 2017-2018, the school district of West Salem, our taxpayers, paid $42,061 for private charter programs. Last year, the school district of West Salem's taxpayers paid $636,629 to private charter programs. As you can see from here, voucher increases per student has increased $3,342, as within our school district, we've only increased $325. That gap in between those two is part of the reason why we're here today asking for your continued support to support our schools in our district. Currently, right now, going into the 24-25 school year, School District of West Salem is receiving $11,325 per student, while private charter programs are getting $15,442 per student. You can see that discrepancy continues to put our public schools and the West Salem School District behind, which is why we are continuing to ask for your support. We talked how enrollment and we continue to get our funding from our student enrollment. As you can see, our enrollment's been fairly steady over the 3 years of our current referendum, but overall, from the fall of 22 to the fall of 24, we've decreased by 48 students. That decreased enrollment means a decrease in the revenue that we have in order to continue to operate. You may ask, shouldn't stable or declining enrollment cost the same or less? Yes, but schools do have semi-fixed costs. Costs don't decline linearly with enrollment. For example, during the pandemic, school enrollments dropped by an average of 3% across the state. That same thing was seen here in West Salem. Not all of those students come from the same grade level. The loss across multiple grades. So it is difficult to lay off a staff person or reduce a section based upon that number of students. For example, at our elementary school, if we're down 20 students across the elementary school, it's very difficult to say that we can reduce a section when you may have 5 students come from 4th grade, 3 students come from 3rd grade, 2 students come from 2nd grade, and so on. So when the decline in students do not come in one specific area, it makes it very difficult to cut. As enrollment goes down or remains the same, the state-imposed revenue limits either do not change or reduce the revenue available to the district. The revenue limit does not take into account rising inflation. As we've indicated, in the 23-24 school year, the school district of West Salem received $11,000 per student. This year, we received $11,325 per student. That does not keep up with the cost of inflation. And every district has unique situations and explanations as they operate their school districts. Not every school district in the state of Wisconsin needs to go forward with an operating referendum. Many school districts who were on the higher end of their costs and weren't a low revenue district are able to continue to sustain and move forward with their expenses and not having to go forward with a referendum. Once you go and you make the transition to move into asking the community for support through operating costs, essentially that those are going to have to continue because those are the low revenue school districts across the state. As we move into this November election, there are 80 current school districts that are going and moving towards operational referendums. 22 of those 80 are asking for a recurring referendum. Recurring referendums generally start to be asked of communities once they understand the fact that school districts are, one, being responsible with the funds that the community has entrusted in them, and two, knowing that it's to, essentially districts have had the opportunity to look at what their costs are, being able to expand those out, make a good estimation of what they are going to need, and settle in on an amount. And that's what the school district of West Salem has done going into this election cycle. And the only way to keep pace with these changes is to continue to go to the ballot box and ask for the community support with these referendums. So, as you go to the ballot here in November, here is the operating question that will be on the ballot. The first question was passed, as I said earlier, in 2019, and another question was passed in 2022. The district is asking for $3.5 million recurring annually to continue to maintain and operate at the high standards that we have set, maintain the priorities that we have established in our past two non-recurring operational referendums, and stop regularly coming to the community to support our school district for funding. This funding would allow us for the continued quality programs and services that we have, maintain competitive wages and benefits with the other local school districts, continue upkeep and maintenance of our bus fleet, and maintain our buildings and district facilities, which we are all very, very proud of. So, what would an operating referendum, a passage of this $3.5 million, mean to you? Essentially, the board is indicating that they would be able to maintain the current mill rate of $7.60, assuming that state law remains the same. I'd like to remind everybody that the funding that we do get within the school district is set from state lawmakers in Madison and the state aid that we get coming from school districts down in Madison. So I'd like to take you back here about 10 years and look at trends and projections with the passages of an operational referendum. As you can see, going back to 2015, the school district's mill rate was at 10.21, and as that continued to go on, that mill rate has continued to be lowered as we've moved throughout these last years. By supporting the school district with a $3.5 million operational referendum, the board is able to maintain that current mill rate that we're currently at with the $7.60 mill rate, and continue our high quality programming and services that we have within our district for our students. If this operation question is unsuccessful, we would need to increase our class sizes, which would obviously result in a reduction of staff and teaching staff district-wide. A reduction in co-curricular offerings K through 12, reduction of funds for supplies, equipment, and training, delay maintenance projects, and delay bus replacement, all of which would be detrimental to the services that we currently offer our students here within our school district. A second question that is on the ballot this November is a capital question. This capital question means that we're going to increase the size of the footprint that we have here within the school district of West Salem, which is essentially adding more facilities to our currently existing infrastructure across campus. So the $28 million capital referendum is to complete high priority facility projects, including the construction of a new career and technical education addition, CTE labs, moving classrooms out of the high school basement, creating a larger weight room fitness center area, installing a new greenhouse, and adding a gymnasium onto the elementary school. When the school board sent out the questionnaire in the spring of 2024, they asked for the community's input in areas in which they would like to see improvements across the district. What you see on this list are those improvements that our community gave responses back to our school board of what they would like to see for any additions across the district. First, looking at the addition of a gym at the elementary school. A two-station gym can be built adjacent to the existing gym. This would provide needed gym space for physical education classes, greater flexibility in the school schedule, and the cafeteria to be used all day, creating a calmer, less crowded lunch periods. If you've ever been to our elementary school, you know that our cafeteria or multi-purpose room also doubles as an additional gym space. And the schedule at the elementary school is scheduled around those lunch period times. Having an additional gym space would allow us to keep the cafeteria for a cafeteria, allow flexibility in the scheduling of those lunch periods, and provide a larger space to hold group meetings and activities during the school day. It would provide increased space for school and community use, and it also provides some needed practice space for school teams and youth programs. By adding this additional gym space, an ancillary benefit of this would be to decrease the amount of time that our park and rec programs or other programs would be utilizing the space and when that gym space would be available. Doing some investigating in on this area, we'd be able to reduce the time that people are here on campus by about an hour at night. Traditionally right now, practices begin at 6 o'clock and they generally run from 6 to 7:30 and 7:30 to 9 o'clock at night. We feel by the addition of this gym space we would be able to have that end practice time, instead of being 9 o'clock at night, moved to around 8 o'clock at night. As we look at the high school projects that would be added as we move forward, we'd look to add a new, larger career and technical education center. This will provide skill development and job-like experience for high-demand trade jobs in the fields, including HVAC, plumbing, electrical, and construction. It allows space to be renovated to move classrooms out of the basement of the school, providing a better learning environment with natural light and larger classrooms. Over this last summer, we had 3 community task force meetings in which we had around 35 members of the community attend, where the school board and the district continued to gain community input of what they would like to see within our schools. One of the largest concerns that this community group had were the classrooms within the basement of the high school. By this addition of the Career and Technical Education Center, we'd be able to reutilize the spaces in which we would move classes out to that new area, reutilize classrooms within our current building, and move those classrooms from the basement up to the main and to the second level of our high school. It would also provide the opportunity to expand our weight and fitness rooms, which would provide needed space for physical education classes, teams, and the community. Currently, right now, the weight room is on the second floor of our high school. We'd repurpose that fitness space to use for larger group activities and after school to increase that space, to increase our wrestling area. It would be used as a multi-purpose room during the day, which would increase the practice opportunities for the wrestling program at night. These improvements would not have any negative impact on the current walking track around the high school. And the hopes would be to offer more opportunities and a larger space for community members to utilize the fitness center when school is not in session during the day. What will this do to my taxes? With the passage of both of these questions on the November ballot, the addition of the CTE lab in conjunction with the passing of an operational referendum would increase the tax mill rate by $1.10 per $1,000 of property. Or an easier way to look at this would be $110 per $100,000 home. A tax mill rate lower than what the district residents were paying in 2022 and earlier. We're looking to do these important improvements across the district and solidify our district's future and be able to do it at an economical rate. When the 2022 operating levy was passed, the school district promised a mill rate at or below $9.15. And you can see that we've been able to maintain our promise and keep that mark available there. We'd be able to stretch out our operating and continue to offer our high quality programming and support our staff and keep our district facilities looking nice, while also being able to make our campus one in which everybody can continue to be proud of, and focusing on the college, career, and life readiness of our students throughout the district. So thank you for your time here. Please make sure to go out and vote on or before November 5th. Early absentee voting is now available. The election day is on November 5th. The polling hours are from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. If you have any questions, please visit our website at wsalem.k12.wi.us, or please feel free to reach out to me personally, Ryan Rieber, at the school district office, phone number 608-786-0700, or please feel free to reach out to me by phone or email. Thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate you learning more about our upcoming questions on the ballot. And again, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out.